What if Anakin Skywalker restored the Jedi Order? Let's explore the depths of this scenario in the video. Anakin sits alone in his quarters, trying to meditate. Though his breathing is steady, he cannot find peace here. Instead, he fidgets in his seat and remains restless. He has been training in the Jedi Order for almost a decade now. While he learned much in his time here, the Order is starting to feel more like a hindrance instead of an asset. All the rules they gave him appear as a mix of contradictions and questions instead of answers. Meanwhile, the Jedi Council treats him with an air of distrust. These thoughts run through his mind, preventing him from finding any clarity. That is, until a voice echoes across the chaos and whispers to him, "Anakin." His eyes shoot open, and he sees the Force ghost of his old friend looking down at him, a kind smile on his face. "I've missed you, my old friend. You've grown so much since we last spoke. You look just like a real Jedi. But the Jedi don't normally look as sad as you. What's wrong?" "I've missed you too. Things feel different without you. Obi-Wan is a fine master, but no one understands me here. The Jedi have so many rules and restrictions. I don't feel like I'm learning anymore." "It is what I feared. I knew you could not be trained like any other Jedi. I understand your concerns, my boy. I faced the same challenges when I was your age. Perhaps not the same. There are talks lately of war. Some fear that the war is looming and the Republic wishes to rearm. The Jedi might find themselves involved." "That is troubling news. What do you think?" "I think it's another contradiction. The Jedi are supposed to be peacekeepers and reject violence, but now we're fighting in a war? It doesn't make sense to me." "Then perhaps the answers will not be found there. Truth be told, I had not planned for you to train like a normal Jedi." "Then how would you have trained me?" The Jedi Master smiles and explains that the ways of the Jedi are not the only methods to learn about the Force. Countless orders and groups have existed in the galaxy long before the Jedi, and many more will exist after. If Anakin is truly the chosen one, then he must not restrict himself from just learning from one source. As they finish talking, Qui-Gon's ghost begins to vanish, but not before asking Anakin to think on his words. The Padawan does, and comes to a drastic solution. He intends to leave the Order. The Jedi Council and Obi-Wan are shocked by this news, but none of them stop him. Obi-Wan even helps him, providing him with data from the archives about some of the ancient orders to help Anakin in his search. At first, Anakin remains on Coruscant for his research, so he can continue accessing the archives. Among the groups that catch his attention is the Jedi Order, the precursors of the Jedi. Anakin is surprised to hear how they studied both the light and dark side, something the current Jedi view as heretical. But the young Padawan is fascinated with this idea and decides to travel to the ancient order homeworld of Tython. Although long abandoned, many of the Jedi ancient ruins remain. Anakin wastes no time in researching the place as best he can. He pores through the ancient databanks and holocrons, studying the history of the Jedi and their ideas of balance. As Anakin meditates under the twin moons of Ashla and Bogan, he feels a connection he never felt in the Jedi Temple. Standing so close to nature and the Force itself, Anakin can meditate and discover the powers of the Force. He soon begins to harness immense feats of power that he might never have learned in the Jedi Order. But while powerful, Anakin struggles to control himself. Thankfully, he receives a visitor a few months into his study, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Although he wishes Anakin to remain in the Order, he does not want to leave his friend and must see his promise of training Anakin through. Together, the two restore the Jedi Temple and drive back the Flesh Raiders. The two continue their studies with Anakin showing Obi-Wan the different techniques he learned, while Obi-Wan helps control Anakin's actions with the strict discipline of the Jedi. Just like the Jedi intended, the two balance each other out. Soon the temple was repaired, and could house hundreds of more members. The two do not agree on everything though, as Obi-Wan does not approve of Anakin's dabbling in dark side powers, although his apprentice insists that it is part of the Jedi's philosophy. The Jedi warns him that this will only lead him down a dark path by creating temptation. They do not have much time to debate this though, as the separatist crisis only grows worse and with more and more groups demanding cessation. This requires Obi-Wan to return to Coruscant, as the Jedi believe Senator Amidala might be a target for assassination in the upcoming vote for the Republic to rearm. He invites Anakin to accompany him and show his new abilities to the Order. At first, Anakin hesitates, as he does not want to leave Tython, but as he meditates on the issue, the young Jedi receives a shocking vision. He watches as the war spirals out of control, with the Jedi losing their way and the dark side gaining power. The dark energies wash over him, nearly drowning him in its chaos. Anakin's eyes open and he stumbles to his feet, trying to shake off what he just saw. Despite that, he cannot think of anything else and begins wondering if this might be related to the Separatist crisis. This prompts Anakin to return to the Jedi Temple. There, even the Jedi Council are shocked with the progress he's made alone and with Obi-Wan. Many are impressed, and Yoda even invites him back to the Order. Anakin refuses this offer, but agrees to help them in protecting Padme. While it is initially meant to be purely professional, their relationship changes the longer they spend time together. Romance begins to bloom, despite the chaos around them. Not even their capture on Geonosis dampens this love. It leads Anakin to make a dramatic decision to marry the Senator. Without his ties to the Jedi, nothing is holding him back from it, allowing them to maintain a public relationship. But as the war breaks out, it leads the newlyweds to make an even more dramatic decision. The Jedi will remain out of this war and will remain neutral. Padme even goes as far as to resign from her post to join her husband. She is not alone in this decision, as hundreds of Jedi join Anakin, refusing to be made part of this war. They now act as part of the moderate faction within the Republic, alongside Mandalore and the League of Neutral Systems. Instead, they focus their efforts on providing humanitarian aid to those affected and push for a peace treaty. The Jedi remain proactive, acting as peacekeepers in the Outer Rim. Although they occasionally collaborate with the Republic, they do not accept any military positions. This allows them to remain untainted by the war, instead focusing on allowing them to continue studying the Force. Palpatine is furious at this, as it means that a large block of Force users cannot be targeted. If anything, they might be more respected than the mainstream Jedi Order. He realizes they are a wild card that cannot be ignored, prompting him to discredit them. Many propagandists and pundits question the sincerity of their neutrality, accusing the Jedi of trying to play both sides and profiting off the war. Others accuse them of being heretics who practice dark rituals in their temple and demand Republic supervision over their activities. While the Order ignores these accusations, it does not affect their efforts to serve as peacekeepers somewhat, and forces Anakin to head to Coruscant to talk with Palpatine. The Chancellor is careful to keep his name off these accusations, and instead acts as the cool head offering to listen to them.
Anakin, my boy, it is always a pleasure to see you. To what do I owe the honor of your visit?
Chancellor, I'm sure you're aware of the rumors and accusations being thrown at the Jedi Order. These are all baseless, and they're damaging our efforts to maintain peace.
Yes, I have heard such troubling whispers. It pains me to see you and your order maligned in this way. But you must understand, Anakin. We are at war, and many people are afraid. They find enemies where there are none.
That's why I've come to you, Chancellor. I want to clear the Jedi's name, and your support would be a great help.
I believe you, Anakin. I truly do. I would be honored to support you, but there must be concessions. The people need to be reassured, and actions speak louder than words.
What do you suggest?
Such an endorsement would need to come with a guarantee of transparency, especially during these uncertain times. A Republic representative should be stationed at your headquarters on Tython. It would go a long way in assuring people of your sincerity.
Very well. I want assurances that this representative will respect our traditions and not interfere with our training or practices.
Of course, Anakin. You have my word that the representative will only observe, not interfere.
Very well, Chancellor. We'll accept the Republic's representative. Things seemed to quiet down until Anakin saw the representative, Rush Clovis. The senator from Scipio was a former lover of Padme, leaving Anakin uneasy. Although he does not interfere with the Jedi as Palpatine promises, it means he spends all his time with Padme, who acts as the Order's representative. Anakin watches from a distance as Clovis and Padme discuss matters in the gardens of the Jedi Temple. Their laughter echoes across the garden. His fists clench, his breath quickening as a familiar surge of anger rises within him. Although he tries to push the thoughts away, they never fully disappear and send a growing sense of unease. Anakin isolates himself, spending more time in the darker corners of the temple. He tries to clear his head, but all it does is fuel the jealousy and doubt clawing at him, leading him towards the dark side. Despite his best efforts to focus on his duties as a Jedi, Anakin finds his mind constantly wandering back to Padme and Clovis. With his judgment clouded, this allows Clovis to enact the next phase of Palpatine's plans. Being a senator, Clovis can move supplies onto Tython without official inspections. He commissions several crates containing spy equipment to be sent there, allowing the Chancellor to keep track of what's happening. But little does he know that one of these crates secretly contains the Sith assassin Asajj Ventress. As they finish unloading the crates, she kicks the lid open and leaps out. She quickly disappears down the darkened halls before anyone finds her. Her mission comes from Count Dooku himself. A mission to infiltrate Tython and look for any weaknesses in the Jedi Order. He wishes to neutralize them before they become a threat. She soon finds that weakness in the form of the native Flesh Raiders. These were descendants of the Rakata, a powerful species in ancient times. Ventress quickly begins attacking their different tribes, molding them into an army by earning their fear and respect. With this army, she manages to amass an even larger force of them. Meanwhile, Anakin has learned about the spy equipment being shipped to Tython. All of these contain the Senator's seal. He's about to act on this, just as the Jedi warriors rush to their positions as they report a massive force of Flesh Raiders is advancing on the temple. Anakin stands at the temple's entrance, his lightsaber ready as he watches the creatures ascend the steps. As the first line approaches, Anakin unleashes a powerful force pulse that throws them back, but many more continue to advance. The ground trembles as the Flesh Raiders storm the temple grounds, their savage war cries echoing through the valley. The Jedi warriors fight valiantly, their lightsabers clashing with the crude weapons and blasters, but the sheer numbers of the Flesh Raiders threaten to overwhelm them. Anakin leads the defenses of his temple, approaching wherever he is needed and cutting through the Flesh Raiders. His presence and leadership help rally the fighters and allow them to hold the line. But as he tries to contact Padme, he hears that she's being evacuated alongside Clovis. His anger flashes as he leaves the battle to head towards the landing pad. When Anakin approaches, Padme is relieved to see him safe, but she freezes as she sees the furious expression on his face.
Clovis, you did this. I saw the spy equipment, and I saw Ventress. She could only have come here on your ship.
Clovis turns, his eyes wide with confusion and fear.
Anakin, I swear I didn't know. I was told to bring the spy equipment, yes, but I had no idea Ventress would be there.
Anakin's lightsaber hums menacingly as he steps closer. Clovis backs away, his hands raised desperately.
Please, Anakin, you have to believe me. I would never do anything to hurt you or Padme.
But Anakin's mind is clouded by the dark side, his jealousy and rage twisting his thoughts. The mention of his wife's name pushes him over the edge as he swings his lightsaber. Clovis barely has time to gasp before the blade cuts him down, his body crumpling to the floor. The chamber falls silent, save for the distant sounds of battle. Padme screams as Anakin stares down at Clovis's lifeless body, a mixture of satisfaction and regret flickering in his eyes.
Anakin, how could you?
I did what I had to.
Outside, the battle reaches a fever pitch as Ventress leads the Flesh Raiders closer to the temple's inner sanctum. She watches the chaos with a twisted smile, knowing that she is struck at the heart of the Jedi Order. Anakin emerges from the temple, his rage barely contained as he joins the fight. His lightsaber a blur of motion, cutting through Flesh Raiders with brutal efficiency. But as he fights, he feels the pull of the dark side growing stronger, fueled by his recent actions.
Skywalker, you can't protect them all. Your anger is your weakness. It makes you predictable.
Anakin grits his teeth, his focus narrowing as he spots Ventress among the chaos. He charges toward her, his mind set on ending this threat once and for all. Ventress gets there first, swinging her weapon in rapid slashes. Anakin anticipates this all and sidesteps her attack before unleashing a powerful force push that sends Ventress flying across the battlefield. Her eyes widen, but she comes at him again. This time, Anakin meets her attack with his lightsaber, blocking these attacks, his movements blurring as he seems to know all of Ventress's attacks before she makes them. But as she aims at his heart, Anakin unleashes a barrage of force lightning that sends her stumbling back. Though her Flesh Raiders try to protect her, Anakin's relentless attacks cut them down by the dozens, forcing her to retreat. The battle eventually ends, with the Jedi managing to repel the Flesh Raiders, but at a great cost. The temple is in ruins. Many Jedi are injured or dead, and Anakin stands amidst the wreckage, not knowing the full implications. Little does he know, his murder of Rush Clovis was caught by the spy equipment, which gives the anti-Jedi faction the ammunition they need to spin it as Anakin murdering the Republic representative for discovering their questionable practices. This is all the evidence the Chancellor needs to take action. Although he feigns reluctance, he has enough evidence to suggest that the Republic sends a force to the Jedi to pressure them to submit, accepting Republic supervision. They decide to send a task force to arrest them. They are led by Obi-Wan, who is charged with bringing the Jedi Order in line. Meanwhile, Anakin observes the destruction left on Tython after the attack. So many of his Jedi have fallen in battle, and others fled, fearing for their safety. Among them was Padme, who could barely look at Anakin in the eye as she left, heading back to Naboo. He surveys the destruction as he considers everything happening with this new development. The Republic is now ordering his order to submit or risk a military intervention. He already saw firsthand how Republic interference has affected his order. Although he assumes that Clovis was simply a CIS spy, he sees how fragile their neutrality is. Now the dark side continues to call on him, urging him to resist and not accept this insult. Just outside the temple, Republic gunships land, deploying Obi-Wan and a large force of clone troopers. He observes the temple, regretting having to tear down everything he helped build, but understands the necessity of what he must do. Before he can advance any further, Anakin steps outside and descends the steps to meet them. The clones ready their weapons, but Obi-Wan orders them to halt as he stares at his apprentice. He feels the dark energies swirling around him.
You know why we're here. Please, let me help you.
Help? The Republic sent a spy, Obi-Wan. Clovis smuggled in Ventress, and now you're here to force us into submission.
Anakin, the Republic is concerned about what happened here. They're worried about the Jedi's neutrality and the threat that they might pose.
They're worried that we won't accept their control. They allowed this to happen and did nothing to help, despite causing everything. I won't let that happen to the Jedi. I won't suffer the same fate as the Jedi.
Anakin, listen to yourself. The dark side is clouding your judgment. Stand down. Anakin, please don't make me do this.
But Anakin ignites his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life.
If you're here to arrest me, then do it. But I won't go quietly.
Obi-Wan sighs, sadness flickering across his face. He ignites his lightsaber, the familiar hum of the blue blade echoing Anakin's. With that, the clone troopers move in to apprehend Anakin, but with a swift motion of his hand, Anakin uses the Force to throw them aside like ragdolls. The troopers are sent flying, crashing into the surrounding rubble. Obi-Wan watches in shock as Anakin rushes at him. Obi-Wan barely brings up his sword to block the attack, feeling the heat of their weapons as Anakin forces it down. The Jedi Master pushes him back and tries to use the Force, sending him sliding across the floor.
Anakin, you're better than this. The dark side is twisting your mind.
But Anakin's anger only grows as he lets it course through him. He runs towards Obi-Wan, unleashing a wave of lightning towards him. Obi-Wan raises his lightsaber up and blocks the attack, but feels it pushing him to his limits. Despite his anger, Anakin feels the words burying the seeds of doubt in his head. As the duel intensifies, shockwaves burst out from the pair each time their lightsabers clash. Obi-Wan recalls his brief stay in the temple and throws whatever he remembers at him to keep him back. He counters each of Anakin's attacks with precision, but his heart breaks with each clash of their blades. Finally, Obi-Wan finds an opening and disarms Anakin, sending his lightsaber skittering across the floor. Anakin stumbles back, breathing heavily, his eyes wide as he looks at Obi-Wan. For a moment, the dark side's grip loosens, and Anakin sees the devastation around him, the consequences of his actions.
Anakin, you're hurting. You feel betrayed.
The Jedi, the Republic, they've turned their back on me.
But not me. I am still your friend.
To Anakin's shock, Obi-Wan deactivates his lightsaber and tosses it aside, leaving him disarmed. Anakin falls to his knees as he feels clarity replace the dark side and the grim reality of what he just did.
Clovis, what have I done?
What is done is done. But we may fix this. Together.
Anakin and Obi-Wan sit in the shadow of the ruined Jedi temple, the echoes of their battle still hanging in the air. The tension between them has eased, but a sense of urgency remains as they discuss the events that have transpired.
Anakin, we need to understand how this happened. Ventress was able to infiltrate Tython and manipulate the Flesh Raiders. But do you believe Clovis was responsible?
Clovis was the one who brought those crates from Coruscant. He's the only person who landed here, and one of the crates does not appear to have had any equipment in them. He swore he didn't know Ventress was in one of them, but how else could she have gotten past her defenses? Clovis must have been working with the CIS. I had no choice but to...
But there's something that doesn't add up. Clovis may have had ties to the CIS, but this feels larger. When I was on Geonosis, Count Dooku spoke of a Sith Lord named Darth Sidious, who was controlling the Senate. At the time, I thought it was a trick, but now...
Anakin's eyes widen at the mention of Darth Sidious, his mind racing as he connects the dots.
A Sith Lord, controlling the Senate. Clovis isn't smart enough to be a Sith Lord. He may have been a pawn.
It's possible. We've always suspected there was a deeper conspiracy. But if a Sith Lord is manipulating the Republic, then everything we fought for is at risk. We need to confront the Chancellor to make sure he's informed.
After everything that's happened, he isn't sure whether he can face the Chancellor. But Obi-Wan places a hand on his shoulder and smiles. The two slowly make their way towards the shuttle as it prepares to depart.
You're right. We have to face him.
When they arrive, they find Palpatine standing by the window. He turns to face them with a warm smile.
Anakin, Obi-Wan, it's good to see you both. I trust the situation on Tython has been resolved.
Anakin and Obi-Wan exchange a glance before Anakin steps forward.
Chancellor, we need to talk about an urgent matter. We believe a Sith Lord is manipulating the Senate, orchestrating the war from the shadows.
Palpatine's smile falters ever so slightly.
A Sith Lord in the Senate? My dear Anakin, that's a serious accusation. What has brought you to such a conclusion?
We have reason to believe that Clovis was working with the CIS. Apparently, he smuggled in a separatist agent, which is why we believe there might be someone giving him orders.
Palpatine's eyes narrow ever so slightly as he looks between the two Jedi, the tension in the room palpable.
And you've come to accuse me, have you? After all I've done for the Republic. For you, Anakin.
Anakin takes a step back, his suspicions confirmed by Palpatine's reaction. But before he can respond, Palpatine's demeanor shifts entirely. In a swift motion, Palpatine extends his hand, unleashing a torrent of Force lightning at the two Jedi. Obi-Wan barely manages to raise his lightsaber in time to deflect the attack, but Anakin meets the attack with lightning of his own.
You're Sidious.
Yes, my young Jedi. And now it's time for you to fulfill your destiny, or be destroyed.
The room erupts into chaos as the two Jedi engage the Sith Lord. The clash of lightsabers and crackle of dark energy fills the air.
Your skills have improved, Anakin, but you're still no match for the power of the dark side.
Palpatine's crimson lightsaber flashes repeatedly, pushing Anakin to the defensive as Palpatine throws his full attention on him. Obi-Wan tries to help but receives a swift kick for his efforts. He grits his teeth as he watches Anakin's face twist in anger as he tries to defend against the attacks. Each blow continues to push him further and further back as the anger grows around him. Obi-Wan tries to support him as best he can, striking at Palpatine's flanks whenever he gets an opening, being rewarded by scoring a glancing blow on Palpatine's side. The Sith Lord hisses in pain before flying back as Anakin shoves him. He flips back behind his desk and slams it forward. Obi-Wan must dodge out of the way, but Anakin slices it in half with a single thrust. He snarls and advances towards the Chancellor. As he advances, the darkness seems to gather around him, filling him with its rage. His attacks grow more vicious and rapid while Palpatine continues to defend against them.
Yes, that's right. Give in to your rage.
Anakin, no. Control yourself. You're stronger than your rage.
Anakin glances over at his friend, then takes a deep breath. His anger dissipates as he defends against each attack. Obi-Wan stays close, weaving in and out of the fight, his lightsaber intercepting Palpatine's strikes whenever Anakin falters. Palpatine lets out a dark laugh as he leaps into the air, flipping over the two Jedi with inhuman agility. He lands behind them and thrusts his hand forward, sending a wave of Force energy that slams them into the far wall. Anakin and Obi-Wan crash against the wall, but land on their feet. Before they can attack, Palpatine flicks his wrist and unleashes another barrage of Force lightning. Anakin and Obi-Wan raise their lightsabers, the blades absorbing the lightning with a crackling sound. But the sheer power keeps them back. Summoning all his strength, Anakin pushes back against the lightning, his lightsaber glowing with renewed energy. With a roar of determination, he surges forward, his blade cutting through the attack and standing tall. Desperately, Palpatine channels all his power into a single devastating strike aimed at Anakin. But Obi-Wan rushes to Anakin's side, and the two friends cross their weapons, meeting the attack and halting it in its place. They stumble back as Palpatine presses them, but then the attack halts, and the two push back, slicing their lightsabers across Palpatine's chest, burning through cloak and flesh. With his last remaining strength, Palpatine reaches out to unleash one final blast of Force lightning. But before he can, Anakin twists the lightsaber, sending a surge of energy through Palpatine's body. The Sith Lord's expression freezes in a grimace of pain and disbelief before he collapses to the ground, lifeless.
It's over, Anakin. The Sith are no more.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.